Oh, right. Hi, you guys. Um, what new list thing? Oh, right, right. Check, check, check. Yeah, I can hear you fine. Okay, so Chill is going through a little bit of technical difficulty, but he is going to remedy it shortly.
Test,
I don't.
test. I think we're good now. Yeah, it shows properly. So hopefully everyone will be able to see that now. All right, this is episode 440 being recorded on 7th of June 2022. And we've been doing some pre-show blathering that mostly went unheard, except for the parts that Kitty was saying. Yeah, OBS has this weird thing. It doesn't do it a lot, so I kind of forget to double check. So thank you. It was Kitty Treats who let me know. Once in a while, like maybe every 20 times, 30 times or so, it just won't recognize my mic and it'll just and nothing goes out at all. It's not
It's to
like
keep you
low
on your
settings or anything. It's
toes.
just completely gone. Yeah, exactly. Let me double
Do you
check now.
use
Make sure I didn't take control of my audio settings. Okay, good. It
do you
hasn't
use
changed my volume.
Studios or Slobs?
For what part?
OBS.
Oh,
Do you use
it's
Streamlabs
just
OBS
under
or
it's just under the mic slash auxiliary, and it's
oh,
just the generic one for that. So it's just going to pick me up no matter what. And then yeah, and then yours comes because of Discord. But Discord doesn't play me to myself anyway, so I would have to use the mic anyway. So anyway, all right,
I
yeah.
come to
So
you through
Discord is actually
Discord.
doing fine for me for this. Um, Smooth Wolf, although I have my issues with Discord, but that's not one of them. This one is an OBS thing. I don't know why, and unfortunately, it's not common enough that I remember necessarily to check every time and make sure the
Of
mic is
course.
working. But once in a while, it'll do it. All right. Well,
It
I'm
found
glad
an
we
algorithm
got it
for you.
caught anyway.
It found out exactly how long
Yeah,
it needs to
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 do
do
it
it to really screw you over.
and really make sure that I don't
Really
remember to
just
check it.
get in there.
All right. So we've got a lot to go through because, like I say, there was we basically skipped an episode, and this is now so we do one every 2 weeks. We skipped the last episode, and now it's basically in 4 weeks, which is first time we've done that in quite a while, and we'll go over why as soon as we get the show going. Actually, it's past 4 now because of all the technical changes. So let's go ahead and get going, Kitty, if you're ready.
I'm ready, baby.
All right, going in 5. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast, the podcast that's your grandfather, maybe. This is episode 440, being recorded on Tuesday, June the 7th, 2022. I'm your host, Chill, and with me is my co-host, KittyKissz. Hey, Kitty.
Hey, Chill.
Hey, no guest today. It is you and me. We'll go over why that is and everything that's been going on, and also why we skipped an episode, essentially. It's been now 4 weeks instead of 2 weeks since the last episode. And go ahead and let us know what you've been up to since the 10th of May episode.
Well, myself and Kitty Treats did a 12-hour stream for my 51st video, my 51st birthday.
Yay!
And it was a lot of fun.
All right. Happy birthday.
Thank you, bud. We did hardcore parkour in Kitty Treats' stronghold, where she set up some stuff for people to climb. We gave out prizes for first, second, and third and stuff like
Nice.
that. Then we did a photo shoot and played SWOTOR, and it was really, really fun. It was so fun that it felt like I didn't even do a normal stream.
Wow.
It didn't feel like 8 hours, let alone 12 hours, you know?
That's amazing. Yeah.
It was amazing.
That really flew by then.
It was crazy. It was so fun. And we did some giveaways and stuff like that. It was
Nice.
great. And people were so generous and so nice. And I want to say, if any of y'all are here, thank you for making my birthday so awesome. It was fantastical.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah. What else? Oh yeah. Okay. So
I was gonna say, don't skip it.
Kitty Treats got me 3 cameos, and one was Nika Fetterman, who is the voice of Asajj Ventress and Treek, and she sent a video call of her singing "Happy Birthday" as Asajj Ventress and as Treek.
I love it.
It was so awesome. Then the next one was Teresa
Valenza, yeah.
Valenza, who does Cleo.
Awesome.
And she was super cool, very, very, very cool. And then the creme de la creme, the one, I think he's probably my favorite voice actor.
Why
was
not?
Billy West.
Yeah.
And he did, Wish Me a Happy Birthday as Zap Brannigan, as Zoidberg, and as the Professor.
Right.
And as Fry.
And Fry, yeah.
It was awesome. It was so cool. And
that was so cool.
When it first started and Nika Fetterman was on, I'm like, oh yeah, there's Nika Fetterman. And I'm
we did a Cantina talk about her.
Yeah, I'm like, I wonder what. And then all of a sudden she said my name, and I went, what? I had no idea what was going on. I didn't put it together until after, she said my name, and I'm like, oh, no way.
Right.
So that was wonderful, and I want to say thanks, babe. That was fantastic. I love you very, very much. And
you did put up the reaction video.
Yes.
On your YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, KittyKissz at YouTube.
Very good.
Just
search for his name if
you'll find it.
And then subscribe, because he does actually put up a fair number of videos there.
Yeah, we're gonna try to get more and more in there. I just got some camera gear, so we'll see what happens. Then I've been watching Kenobi, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Right. Yeah, no spoilers. I actually managed to watch it too, despite what we'll be talking about here.
I'm gonna smile and say I watched Kenobi, and I want to go short because I want to hear what you've been up to, Jill.
All right. Well, we'll do a little shout out to the chat room as best we can. Twitch changed how they do their little viewer list, but we'll read who it shows. And they kind of it used to be pretty much a list of who was in the chat room. Now it's kind of this weird, I don't know how it truncates it, but it's basically, I guess, who's been chatting or something like that. Anyway, Agilet is here, Ascension M, Bantha Mojito, Bo Froley, DL Smooth Wolf is here, hey Deck, there's Deckion, Evans is here, Evan04111, Kitty Treats is here as well, Sergeant America TTV, and Squishy Twitchy, all show on the list. And so, hey everyone. And let's see, so what I've been doing, well, basically right after the last episode, like the day after, I went on vacation, and I'll tell you about it. And then I was on vacation until last night. So there's a reason we skipped the last episode, and that's because I was gone the entire time. So where did I go? Well, I stopped off in Denver to pick up my mom. I was traveling with my wife, and I got my mom, who's in Denver, and we went to Europe. So we went to Ireland, and then we went to France, and it was amazing. Like, we've been planning this forever, and of course things got delayed because of COVID and blah, 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 blah. And until the last minute, we weren't even 100% sure we could go because, travel things change all the time nowadays, because of COVID. And so I wanted to obviously let, you knew about it, and like Deckion, a few people knew about it, but there's not a lot of point in like necessarily alerting everyone, and then it turns out I'm going to be here anyway, and then we just keep going. So it was an amazing trip. None of the three of us had been to these places before. My mom's done a fair bit of traveling, and she had been to Ireland very briefly, and mostly not where we actually did go, which was really cool. In fact, we have some like family history in Northern Ireland, and then the last time she tried to go there, it was during the Troubles, as they were called.
Oh, yeah.
And she was not allowed to go because they had just bubbled up again. And the Troubles were like a whole period of like, a couple of decades really, but they kept bubbling up. And whenever it bubbled up, outsiders weren't allowed to travel. And she just happened to try to go at a time when like everything was going crazy again. So she had never been to most of Ireland. And technically I have been to Dublin, but for like a day. And that was like the only other time I've been sort of off North America. But that was ages ago also. So we did it as basically a tour because none of us had really experienced these countries. Tours are really great ways to sort of hit all the highlights. And when we go back, we can then say, okay, we really like this one, and it also seems like something that we could spend some more time at. And that's if we ever do it again. So if we ever go back to Ireland, we'll know like what parts we liked and what parts we would want to spend more time at or whatever. But a tour is a great way to just sort of see all the highlights, have someone else deal with all the BS of tickets and parking and hotels and food, figuring out when you're going to stop for food, where the bathrooms are, and all that sort of thing. And of course, the tour guides are pretty knowledgeable. They know all the history, and they sort of give you little history things as you go, which is awesome. Loved it.
That's great.
And it was the same in France, just with a different tour group, different tour group, and different tour group leader. And both of them were really good. So we did Ireland, and then I started feeling sick towards the end of Ireland.
Wow.
You can see where this is going. But I was sneezing. I was not coughing, and I wasn't feeling great, and I was sneezing. I looked up COVID symptoms. COVID symptoms do not include sneezing as either a regular symptom or even as an uncommon symptom. So I figured I had picked up a cold or a flu or some sort of bug. But I was still feeling bad when we actually traveled to Paris, and then we went to like the Eiffel Tower. We had a few days before the actual start of the French tour.
Oh, nice.
And so we had tickets for the Eiffel Tower, went to the Eiffel Tower, but then I felt really bad afterwards. Like it sapped my energy basically, just doing the Eiffel Tower, and then went to the Musée d'Orsay, the Orsay Museum. And again, sort of felt bad afterwards. And then I was finally, okay, I got to take a test. And yeah, it was COVID. So I had COVID with like, it's a really weird symptom that, it shouldn't have had, but I had. And yeah, but fortunately it tapered off right around then. And by the time of the tour start, I was better. My wife actually caught it also around the same time. She felt about the same way I did. She also was sneezing. So I don't understand that at all.
Weird.
But yeah. And then my mom, who is like elderly, in her 70s, didn't catch it the whole time, even though we were all traveling together. We were very careful too. Like we were masked up basically the whole time. I mean, you obviously have to eat and drink and blah, blah, blah. Who knows though, when I caught it or how. It was probably just one of the times when we were eating or drinking and someone got too close who had it or whatever. Not much you can do about it. It's funny. I've been careful everywhere. Like when I go to the gym every day, I'm masked, and I haven't caught it here. But when you travel, you're around so many people doing that sort of thing. So yeah, so I caught it, and then fortunately, like I said, we had a few days before the actual tour started. So we did bed rest. I missed out on the Louvre, so I didn't see the Louvre. The Museum d'Orsay, though, is amazing, and we'll have to. It's just a reason to go back at some point and see the Louvre. Yeah. I mean, the Musée d'Orsay is amazing. Like, there's so many good things there. It's just incredible. Like, they have paintings that, like, in any other museum, it would be like a room unto itself, or maybe you'd have to even like have a special ticket to see it or whatever. And they've just got them on the wall next to some other paintings. You know what I mean? We walked down, there's like some sculptures, and there's little rooms, and they're each dedicated to a particular painter. The d'Orsay is sort of mostly like a Monet, that sort of impressionism sort of period sort of museum. Anyway, is that in that sort of stretch of history, and a little before and a little after, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so you go down there and you hit these little rooms with, Renoir and Monet and Manet and Cezanne, all these other people. And then on the outside of that, there's, like just hallways, and they have paintings as well. And you just walk down this one outside hallway, and there's a cool painting, there's a cool painting. And then there's Whistler's mother. Like, Whistler's mother is just there next to a couple of other paintings that are also great and I'm sure well known, but I mean, it's like Whistler's mother is probably, like one of the 20 most recognizable paintings in the world. And it's just there in the middle of the hallway with no like special extra guards or no big sign saying, hey, world famous painting here. It's amazing. Yeah. So a couple of sort of gaming / Star Wars moments we had on these tours. So we did the tour of Ireland. And we did get down to the southwest area where we could see. We were on a tour, so we didn't have the option to like go out and on a boat and actually get to the island. But the island where Luke makes himself a hermit in The Last Jedi, it's called Skellig Michael. But from a distance, it's pretty cool. It's all jaggedy. And then on the mainland, though, the druids who had built those stone structures that that you see in multiple scenes, there's even a blaster bolt and all that sort of stuff. Right. They had built some on the mainland too, and we got to see some close up, and it was really cool because these are literally 2,000-year-old buildings. And it's kind of amazing to be able to step into a building that's that old, that's human built. It's not even like a cave where someone had happened to have lived. It's actually something built by human hands, 2 millennia ago. So incredible. And
it looks like up in there's in the picture of the one of the structures, it looks like you got a porg flying above it there.
Let's see. Oh yeah, that's right. There are lots of birds. There's lots of seabirds because it's right on the ocean. In fact, the little druid buildings, this little area where they had several of them, it happened to be on private land, so they actually just charged you a few euros if you wanted to actually get close enough to like step into it and stuff like that. Oh, cool. You could sort of take a picture from the road if that was good enough for you. But I actually took some videos of it close up and stuff like that. And there was one structure that I have a picture of in the show notes, and it's exactly just what you saw in Last Jedi. It's a little sort of, they call them beehive buildings. That's sort of like one of the names for them because they're beehive shaped. And they have little tiny windows in them, and then there's one sort of like door. And there's no actual door left because that would have been, wood, and it would have been gone ages ago. And then they have, but the structure kind of continues on, and it's, and some of it, most of it's not roofed, but there was clearly like little areas where there would have been like more of like a wooden roof, and then they would have kept like grain in there and stuff like that. It was very cool. So it's really neat to see that. And then when we were in France, we went to Mont Saint-Michel, which is it's almost an island. They call it a tidal island because at high tide it is a true island where there's water all the way around it, and at low tide it's wet sand basically. And it is amazing. It started as an ancient fort like in Roman times. And then, a few hundred years ago, then they added this really amazing abbey on top. And all the streets are very narrow, super steep. Like, you get a real workout getting around this place. But, it's like all these really old buildings. And then the abbey is just incredible. It's still a working abbey, but you are allowed to tour through it. You pay, I think it's like 15 euros or something like that. And just amazing views when you get to the outside. But the cool thing is when you move like there's one sort of raised road that they built so that it has better access. But as you're on that road looking at it, you can see like where it became sort of the visual shorthand for Minas Tirith when they made the Lord of the Rings movies. It's very much like that, where there's a major sort of wall around the bottom, and then you can see all these sort of twisty roads, sort of half hidden, twisting its way up, and then and then this great stone structure on top. It's just incredible. And it felt really cool. It was also really cool, just not even, not just Lord of the Rings, but also just sort of as a Dungeons and Dragons and just general fantasy fan, to sort of be in this place where it was like all these narrow roads and like, and like when you picture like the medieval buildings with like the wooden beams that are sort of exposed and stuff like that, all of that's there. And
nice.
And the walls have all the original crenulations and like the little slots where they could drop stones and hot water and stuff on on people. And the original portcullis is there, and it clearly hasn't been let down in a long time. It's quite rusty, and in fact, some like really probably decades old like wiring has been put through it at one point. And it's but it's still like amazing to see like a real working portcullis that's just like hanging up there. And it was a real experience. I saw other castles along the way. I went to Blarney Castle and kissed the Blarney Stone, which is for someone with even a touch of acrophobia is terrifying, but I did manage to do it. I had to do it in like 2 goes because I had like a minor freak out, and then I went back in and got it done. And but I did manage to do it. And that was another cool one, because like Blarney Castle is not like one of those, hoity-toity castles. It was very much a defensive structure, and they had actual like murder holes and and all that sort of thing. It was really, really cool. And we saw like Versailles and like all these amazing things. So, despite being kind of a little ill in the middle, fortunately, again, did not give it to my mom. It was just my wife and I who had it. Somehow, I don't know how she escaped it, because we were all around the same people at the same times. We were all being very careful with masks. So whatever. So and then we came back. I actually stayed in Denver just a couple of days. I literally got back last night. So I've literally not played SWTOR since the last show, I don't think. I did log on this morning just to sort of do the login thing and just kind of see what was what. That is it. But it had a absolutely like once in a lifetime time. So cool. And it was great doing it with my mom, who loves to travel. We lost my dad like a little over a year ago, and he had Parkinson's. So he had there was like a chunk of like, it's a progressive disease, and there was just a series of years and they both loved to travel. So when they retired, they had a couple good years when they got to travel a fair bit, and then boom, it hit, and it got worse and worse, and pretty soon he couldn't travel, and there was just a long period of time when they weren't traveling. So it was great for her to be able to travel again. My wife was so excited, because she's sort of like, she calls herself the black sheep of her family, because like everyone else is like a globetrotter, because her dad was originally from Australia, and but then he met their mom in Canada. Her mom is actually from Britain, and and then they ended up in Vancouver. But they also traveled, not just back to Australia and Britain, but like all over. And also her sisters do too. But because of like the way her life has gone, she just hasn't had that chance. So she was really excited to be, off the continent. And yeah, we had a ball.
Good. I'm happy you guys. That's great. Cool.
I did manage to watch Kenobi as well. There's, whenever you're doing a tour, there's going to be downtime when you can kind of squeeze in a little, streaming time or whatever at the hotel where there's Wi-Fi. By the way, there's not a lot of Wi-Fi in Europe. Like just public Wi-Fi is like, if you're not at the hotel, hotels are very good about having it, but like and there's a few like public places that are that are pretty good about having it. Some of the museums, for example, have it. But yeah, there's just a lot. And they also like water fountains. There are no water fountains in Ireland or France. They just don't believe in them. I don't know. I know that they like their wine and their beer, but you got to have some water sometimes. And they must be dehydrated all the time, where they just carry water everywhere. I don't know how they deal with it. It's crazy. Like, you'd think, like, okay, public bathroom. So where's the water fountain? No water fountain. Like, and even in like the airports. No water fountains.
Really?
No.
Weird.
I think I saw like 2 water fountains the whole time. This is like in the course of like 4 weeks, and that includes their airports. And then of course, I get back to like Denver airport, and it's like bathroom, water fountain, bathroom, water fountain, bathroom, water fountain. Right. Wow. We were constantly trying to stay hydrated because we're on a bus, and it's like the sun comes in, like they're tour buses, so it's like all windows, like it's not so it's like if the sun's coming in, it just blares on you, and the temperature's all right, but you're just like you're the water's just being pulled out of you, and you're walking everywhere, and some, depending on the humidity and stuff like that, it's just I don't know how the Europeans do without their water, but they're built different. It was crazy, but yeah. So yeah, we bought a few minor things, nothing big. It was mostly just about experiencing the moment. So yeah, it was amazing. All right, so let's see. Yep. So I'll get back to streaming probably tomorrow. I don't see why not. We'll do some SWTOR and get back to it. And so, yeah, the only real SWTOR thing I've been doing is like the show notes before the show. So let's get on to the tip of the week. We have a couple of tips this week. One is from DL Smoothwith, who is also in the chat. And he says, hello there. I'm sure most of us are excited for Kenobi's release on Friday. Well, he did this during our little break. I know I am. I can see him. Kenobi! My tip of the week this week is going to be if you plan on creating a Kenobi character, you'll need 3 essential items to start it off. 1, the steadfast and revered master's robes. 2, the woodland or any varactyl mount.
Yep.
That's true. It's probably the best mount for him because of episode 3. And 3, the Blade Master's lightsaber. I would add a blue crystal to make sure, but yes. Blade Master's lightsaber, nice. So I'll be posting my Kenobi character either this week on Friday or on Friday for sure. Can't wait to see what you guys come up with. And thank you, DL Smoothwolf. And yeah, and then social media. He also says keep your eyes open on social media because Star Wars is a celebration. Yeah, we'll be talking about that a little bit later on as well.
Nice. Thanks, DL.
Yeah, I did one little tip just for fun. We talked a little bit about this, and then I just sort of like hashed it out a little bit more. So if you're getting close to maximum reputation for the Shadow Syndicate, but you still want to get your daily reputation gain, because like if you've played the game a long time, you probably have all the reputations out there and or all the ones that you normally do. Like you're going to have to go out of your way to get a reputation gain on for your conquest daily, which has been nice because Shadow Syndicate's very easy because you're going to get those little plans almost without trying sometimes, and then you can turn them in and daily get, daily get. But if you've been doing it at sort of like the maximum level where you've been maxing out the reputation every week, you're going to be close to your legendary, and if it caps out, then you won't be able to get any more, and therefore you won't be able to get your conquest points. So what you can do is instead, when you turn in the plans, just turn in 1, get the little blue token instead, and do the minimum, because it doesn't matter how much reputation you gain. If you gain reputation, you get the conquest. So go ahead and do that, and all is well. If there's the little, as most weeks are, not every week, but I think most weeks, there's sort of a reputation gain weekly for Galactic Seasons. So go ahead and do enough to get that, so you don't miss out on that. But beyond that, you can just slow it down and just do the blue ones and do that as a daily. Now, if you're getting close to your cap, because you start to do this, because you're gaining plans, but you're not really giving them out. So go ahead and just turn in 100 at a time or 20 at a time, whatever much you want. Get the purples. Just don't use them. Keep them in your inventory. Because until you use them, you're not actually gaining your reputation. Therefore, you're not, getting the conquest thing. So what you can do is just hold on to those, use them in future weeks, or if you're really close to the cap and you're not going to need them, you can actually vendor them. If you have a purple, which costs 20 plans, each one of those is worth 2,500 credits. Not a huge amount, but it's something. And there you go. Pretty simple. All right. So thank you, Deal Smootho. You are the winner of a either a Tonfon M83 droid peg code or the newer M2B9 droid code, courtesy of BioWare, and a new OotiniCast provided Ultimate Pack. And if you have like a chance to win the same, please send your tips to OotiniCast@gmail before the gmail.com before the next show. That'll bring us to the Mind Trap. I'm gonna have a little water here.
Chug-a-lug.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get you a fountain for your room.
Probably. I've been trying, and because I've been, I was on a flight yesterday too, so I've been still trying to catch up on my hydration. I still feel really thirsty and stuff. Oh yeah, and I'm jet lagged like crazy too. Even though I was there over 3 weeks, it was not enough for me to get used to being over there, and now I'm not used to being here either, and I don't know where my body clock is. So it's all good. We'll figure it out at some point. Right now it's very weird because I've been the last few days since I've been back in the US, I've been going to sleep very early for me, like 8, 9, maybe 10 o'clock.
Whoa.
And I'm a night owl. I'm usually 12, 1, or even later sometimes. And yeah, I cannot stay up that late right now. We'll see if it adjusts, or who knows, maybe my body clock is going to do some weird readjustment where I become an early sleeper, which would be weird, but I guess it could happen.
You'll acclimate.
I hope so. All right. And anyway, going on to the Mind Trap, we did sort of a 3-parter during when we were gone. And that way we, get it all taken care of while we're gone. And now we get to find out the results. So we started off with which group of Republic companions collectively do you like the best? And so it was Trooper, Jedi Knight, Jedi Consular, or Smuggler. Not a ton of votes for this one, but enough. And we do, as always, thank you for the retweets and so on. And what was your choice there, Kitty?
Jedi Knight because of... Jedi Knight. I like T7 a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Yeah.
I just like the Jedi. I like Kira, too.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Yep.
I like that Jedi Knight.
I was thinking really hard about that one. I do like the Trooper ones as well for the most part. Not a huge Tano Vic fan. The Gan is okay, but not my favorite. But I really love 4X. I think Eric's pretty cool, and I really like Ilara Dorn. She's one of my favorites. But I actually voted for Smuggler personally. For me, it's there's not really a bad one in the bunch. I mean, I'm not the hugest Corso Riggs fan, and I understand he's sort of also your first companion, which kind of makes him your main companion. Which is, but like every other companion I really like. So I like Bodar. I love Gus Tuno, and I understand that he's very hot and cold. Some people hate him.
Poor Gus.
Yes, poor Gus.
Every time he talks, I just go, oh, Gus.
I like Akavi and I like Risha a lot.
Yeah.
So I was for Smuggler, but the winner was your Jedi Knight with 37.3% of the vote. Trooper was actually second, pretty good there, at just a hair under 30%. Smuggler was third, 23.9%, and Jedi Consular way in the back with 9%. But that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Some people wrote Jedi Knight, of course. My Sentinels have waited ages for Kira and Scourge and Doc to return. And
I forgot
then
about Scourge. I like Scourge.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then Graham wrote, who doesn't want a Wookiee sidekick? And Gus is so good he should be a playable character in his own Star Wars game. I could agree with that. That would be a lot of fun. And he has an interesting story for that sort of thing too, with like the semi-Jedi that didn't quite make it and then ended up becoming a small-time hood. Right? So then the next week's was the Empire version. So Bounty Hunter, Sith Warrior, Sith Inquisitor, and Agent. How about you for this one?
I went Sith Warrior.
Well, there you go. You are again in good company.
I know.
Sith Warrior.
Crazy Jason and Vet. Vet's my favorite of all.
Mm-hmm.
And even I'm not going to spoil it, even though it's been around forever. But the dude that met, what's his name? The officer, the Imperial officer. He's terrible, Quinn.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
I like him because he's so Quinn. If that makes any sense.
Malavite Quinn, you like him?
It's nice to have someone to hate. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
what about you?
All right. I actually went with Agent, which came in last, but I happen to really like that group of characters. Mm-hmm. It has Cleo, who's kind of your main as your first one, which is really cool. And then you've got the Joiner, the Killick Joiner, which he's not my favorite, but he's very interesting at least. Scorpio, who's like a very important character, and also I think one of the most unique ones in terms of story companions. The Doctor, who is it turns into a rat ghoul. Yeah, Doc Loki. He's like turns into a rat ghoul. He's pretty amazing. Pretty cool story, but also like if you've ever taken him out as a companion, it's just kind of amazing to have your own little pet rat ghoul attacking people. Kind of gross too.
He looks really cool.
Unless he's a healer, and then he just stays in human form.
That's true. Or if you change his outfit. If he changes his outfit, he won't turn.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'd have to check that. I wasn't aware of that. And then Ensign Temple, and she's actually one of my favorite companions, really, in the whole game, despite the fact that you like get her very late and so on. I absolutely love her. I love the voice. I love her look. I like her backstory.
Right.
It's just another really interesting character. So for me,
she's really good.
Yeah. So for me, the Agent as a whole is like the best, and yet it came in last. No worries. I had a number of votes for this one. The Empire side got almost 300 votes. Sith Warrior did win 35.3% of the vote. Bounty Hunter came in second, and I was tempted by Bounty Hunter. I almost voted Bounty Hunter too because, and I like Sith Warrior. That would have been right up there with Bounty Hunter too. Yeah. But yeah, Bounty Hunter's great, obviously, with Mako, and there's some really great ones in that one as well. Galt, of course, and Blizz. So there's some really cool ones.
Do you ever remember that old? It was an automobile paint company. They paint automobiles, and it was called Mako.
Yes.
And there it was. Better get Mako.
That's right.
I always think of that every time I read Mako. I'm like, right. Better get Mako. Like,
that is really old. Yeah. It's amazing how that old TV stuff sticks, doesn't it?
I know, right?
It's sad, but it definitely happens.
Impressionable youth.
Yeah. And I always think of sharks because there is a Mako shark as well, and even spelled the same. But it doesn't really fit her personality. So I know it's like, it's always a little jarring whenever I happen to think of like a Mako shark. And it's like, that doesn't really fit Mako, but whatever. Anyway, so Bounty Hunter was second, 29.5%. Sith Inquisitor third, 19.7%. Agent in last, 15.6%. But like I said, that was still my vote. It's all good. And one of the things I liked about this question is like people... When they responded, it's like, it's clear that like there's different ways to think about this question. Like, is it really about like having one companion that stands out super high for you and it kind of overwhelms everything else? Or is it about like consistent quality, where you like all the companions to some degree? Or is it about avoiding one companion that you really hate? There are people like answering, in all those different ways and more. Weldon's mom says, no one betrays the Sith Inquisitor. That's why I chose them. Can't stand Cleo, Quinn, or Skadge. As captain, I would never allow any of those three jerks to be part of my crew. And then Graham said, Cleo's one of my favorites. So sure of herself. Soder needs to get those classic voice actors on the live stream. If they did one a month, I would forgive lack of actual content. Kyle wrote, in terms of majority, most of the Bounty Hunter companions are my homies, but Vet is the only correct answer. So therefore, even though Bounty Hunter companions, he really likes them, Vet overwhelmed it, and he voted with the Warrior. That was interesting.
And then her line that she's, how'd you get that information? I speak stool pigeon.
Yes, that's right. I speak stool pigeon. And Steve even said, when Kyle said, in terms of majority, most of the bounty hunting companions are my homies, but Vet's the only correct answer. And Steve answered back, I'm not sure I've ever agreed with a tweet more than that. And then Engil wrote, in my opinion, the only thing standing in the way of bounty hunting having the best team person for person is Skadge. Yeah, well, Skadge and Skadge came up on the most evil one a few episodes ago.
I love Skadge because he is the voice actor does such a great job at delivering.
Yes,
his dialogue is horrible. I appreciate that so much because I can't stand him so much.
Right. I know what you mean.
Another one that you love to hate.
Exactly.
That's why I keep him on.
Matthew Johnson said, voted Sith Warrior, but Blizz made me think about it. So another one who, again, was tempted by Bounty Hunter, but voted with the Warrior. Yeah, Blizz is fun. And then Chris V said, Kim Val is greater than all. That nicely rhymes. And we got a big Kim Val fan there. So then we put the winners up against each other. And you know what? Because I saw that the Republic side had gotten a lot less votes than the Empire one, I kind of assumed that the Empire one would win,
Right.
There was more interest. I kind of assumed, but maybe it was coincidence or whatever. But when we put up Jedi Knight against Sith Warrior, the Jedi Knight won 54.3% of the vote. So the Sith Warriors 45.7%.
Still pretty close.
Yeah. And let's see. I voted with Warrior because Vet and Jaisa. Yeah. Jaisa Wilson, mostly for those two. And again, I was not with the majority in any of these polls, even the last one.
Right.
Do you remember which you voted out of that?
I did. No.
That's all right.
And I don't even know who I'd choose right now if I had to choose, because Jedi Knight has got some great companions, but Sith Warrior has Vet.
Yep. And Alex D. Geslin said it's hard to choose. I mean, the Warrior has some fun companions, but the Knight has T7. It's true. T7's pretty awesome. Oh, and Joe Filthy Casual said Kira T7, Kira Scourge. And I mentioned Kira. Sure, Warrior has Vet, but Kira, come out to play.
I love reading. I love reading people's messages.
Yeah,
it's great.
I love. We love when you respond. We appreciate it. Yeah, we also appreciate all the retweets and stuff. So. That was a lot of fun. Did a little, mini tournament thing there. And so Jedi Knight is the overall winner. So there you go. And of course, if anyone has a poll that they think would be good for us to put out, we're always open to suggestions.
Yeah, for sure.
Just OotiniCast@gmail.com would be great. So we are going to skip the Cantina talk. I just did not have time, since I got in late last night to do a proper preparation for one. But we have talked about Tara Strong, Nika Futterman, who gave the message to Kitty, John DiMaggio, Tom Wilson, Darren Norris, and Lacey Chabert all before. And so that instead will bring us to the Holo feed. We're going to go over the news, the events for June. Well, we just had the swoop rally that just finished. The Rat Ghoul Resurgent on Corellia is coming up from the 14th to the 21st. So Rat Ghoul on Corellia, and if you're in the Utini guilds, we usually do the Rat Ghoul boss. So I'm sure that is going to be a thing that it's just standard for us. So I'm sure if you want to do the ILS, I'm sure you can join us if you're in the guild, of course. But usually, it's not hard to just say hi in the Utini channel. Right. And although really there's often a sign up, so I would say join the guild and do the sign up. That would probably be the best way. But the ILS is fun to do. And then let's see, what's the other one? Oh, it's on, and I did say it was on Corellia. Yeah. So it's always on. I like how it's on different planets.
I do too.
That's actually one of the reasons I kind of like the Racco one a little bit more compared to some of the other ones, is because you actually get to go to the different planets where it happens.
Yeah. Do you remember? I don't know if we've talked about this before or not, but were you playing when the first Rakul event came out, where they didn't tell anybody what was going on? They didn't announce it or anything, and then all of a sudden a ship crashed on Tatooine,
and it's changed the whole area. Yeah,
and
that was wild.
I heard about it on Fleet, and I'm like, wait, what? And I was like, yeah, something's going on. There's a ship just crashed, and now there's all these weird monsters all over the place.
Yeah,
I thought I loved that.
That was so cool.
So into that. It was great.
Yep. Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, you're right. It was so. It was it felt very weird too, just because by then we had sort of gotten used to how that part of the map looked like, and now it's completely changed. It's like, whoa, changed, yeah. There's this giant crash ship and all this other stuff hanging around. All right, and then let's see, and then it'll be the Relics of the Gree from June 28th through July 5th. And by the way, July 5th is not only the end of Relics of the Gree, but that's also when Galactic Season 2 will be ending. So you have just under a month from now to get to level 100 if that is your goal. I actually, right before the end of the last show and right before I headed out, I was level 99. I'm literally on 99. So I've got very little left to do, but I have not gotten to 100 yet.
I on purpose I drug it out as long as I could. As soon as I would hit 90, I was like, I completely stopped trying because I didn't want it to end. Right. And then of course it happens.
Right.
It's like, oh. But
now, once you hit 100, I assume do you still get plans dropped?
Yeah, I'm still getting plans dropped.
Okay.
So you're talking about the
so you can still get reputation. Yeah. Turn in for reputation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good. So that way you can still gain the reputation if you haven't maxed that out. Or I guess you go there and you turn them in and then vendor them for the purples for 2,500, like I was saying earlier, which is not a lot for dealing with that sort of thing. But
I have noticed that you get a lot more of those plans at end game than you do leveling.
Okay.
Just a little fun fact for you, Chill. Welcome back.
Nice. Okay, so they also mentioned the 10-year anniversary that's technically still going on through January 2023. There's a vendor with some special decorations, fireworks, celebratory backpacks, several. If you haven't checked out the 10-year anniversary vendor on the fleet, definitely check it out at some point because there's some fun stuff. All right, the new R4 Anomaly Operation Boss and Manon Daily area are on the PTS. Yay! So, in a previous phase of the PTS, players were able to test 3 of the R4 Anomaly Operation bosses. As we head into the last phase for 7.1, players can now test out the next boss, Lady Dominique, on story mode. And there's also the daily area, and some people have been putting out information. There is a vendor on the PTS that for the various sorts of decorations and other things you can get with the new reputation that you'll be able to get. And I can't wait. I have not fully explored that yet, and we're always a little bit careful to do things that are just on the PTS because things can change
drastically sometimes.
Yeah, although for the most part, things like decorations and stuff like that, little minor bonuses and stuff like that on the PTS tend to stick. But anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing how they do that. See if they can get, that is sort of like it's part of the 7.1, which means there's going to be some more story, which is pretty typical. Daily areas usually have a chunk of story that goes along with them.
That'll be cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. SWTOR Classic season objectives, final weeks of season 2. So we're obviously not going to like list them all here verbally. They are in the show notes, or you can find them on swotar.com. Yeah, but it does have it week by week and tells you exactly what's going to be coming up. So if you want to plan it out or whatever like that. I noticed that this week has the one where you get to do the on-rail space missions, and I think that's fun, and that's actually how I've been leveling up my bank character. So,
yeah.
But because I'm only been doing it every few weeks, she's only gained a couple levels. She's not 80 yet, but it's fun, and it gave me an excuse to get her ship completely kitted out with like all the best stuff, and the best EMP shots and the huge overpowered lasers and all that stuff. So yeah,
I love that.
Yeah. Of course, I guess sad to say, I mean, with only 1.5 points left to get, like I said, I'm on 99. I probably won't be able to do any of these, at least not the later ones. Oh well, but other people will. All right, so 9.0.2, what was it? A, B? Let's see. Let me look it up here. Let's see. Where is it? I want to just kind of get past some of this stuff because we've kind of gone past it.
Right.
All right. So, all right. I'm going to be like, I'll probably cut out some of this for the actual audio version of the podcast, because I just want to just find a couple little things here. Yeah. All right. Okay, there we go. Yeah. There's so basically, all right, so they were 7.0.2b was going to be today, 7th of June, but they did delay it, and this came out just today, like they delayed it on the day it was to go out. So they said that they would let us know with a new time and date when available, but unfortunately, as of this recording, they did not have that available. However, 7.0.2b is relatively short in terms of patch notes, so we can go over that because I'm sure it will come out reasonably soon. Using the following abilities now correctly move the character and trigger the animation: combat and carnage abilities, driving lance and driving gore, and Vigilance's ability, Leaping Strike. These are all, it's obviously important to have movement abilities that actually move your character. So yeah, this has been a bug that's shown up in the, on the forums and so on. The animation of Power Tech's ability, Flame Sweep, no longer distorts female bodies type 1, 2, and 4.
Did you see that?
I've seen pictures of it. It's very weird.
A horror show.
Yeah, it reminded. There was that one bug maybe a few years ago. I can't remember exactly what caused it. Now it was something very specific.
Tauntaun or something.
Yeah, and it would like make one arm go up and go and like tweak out. It was very body horror-esque. It was very body horror. Character names have been increased to 21 letters and symbols, so that's interesting.
Nice. That is cool.
Yeah, so I guess if you need one of the longer name, you can have one. Fixed an issue where the incorrect repair cost was applied to items with an item level above 150, and I don't know if that was too low, too high, or wildly too low or high, or whatever, but anyway, there was some fix there. All right, so let me go back up a little bit here. Okay, and so they did talk about here 7.1. Obviously, they're looking for people not only to test but then to share what they find. They are asking for people who do test the Manon Daily area and the new operation boss to then let them know what they found. Let's see, and Jackie also said, I have a small update on the 7.1 PTS. The team ran into a couple of blockers when they tested the build late last week, so the PTS was not ready to go live. And this is where we stand today. We'll be going through the build today, verifying the blockers are gone, so everything is playable. And then, so there was a little bit of a delay, basically. Jackie also put out, before Star Wars Celebration, a Star Wars Celebration schedule, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And so here's what they did, and we can kind of hit this real quick. Charles Boyd will be speaking at the Crash Course Into the Old Republic panel. Join the panelists for a crash course on the Old Republic and its historical significance, what makes it appealing, as well as a chance to pick our experts' brains. And that actually sounds pretty fun. I haven't actually seen too much on it, so I'm not sure. I might have to do another look and see if someone managed to put up a video, or maybe Star Wars Celebration did. I don't know how good is Star Wars Celebration. I mean, obviously they do the big panels. I saw Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen's talk, and I saw Filoni and some of the other big names, and Willow. I thought that was funny. It was one of the big. It was the first day of Celebration, and one of the very first things that happened is they announced something for a completely different IP, Willow. Yeah. And I mean, I don't hate Willow. I think it's fine, and it was an okay movie, and I know that a lot of people really like it, way better than I like it. And I'm sure it'll be, I'm sure it'll be fun to see what that's all about. But it was just kind of weird that was the first thing they did at Star Wars Celebration. It's wait, what? But anyway, let's see. SWTOR Dev poster signing with Charles Boyd and Ashley Rule. And Charles Boyd and Ashley Rule did a little panel later on. And we'll talk about that. Let's see. On Saturday, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes team and Charles Boyd chat about bringing Darth Malgus to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. That's pretty cool. Cool. Galaxy of Heroes is still going strong as well, and they have added other SWTOR characters in the past, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
And yeah, it's one of those games where they can kind of add, whoever they want, as long as it's under the Star Wars umbrella. They could pretty much add, whoever they want, as long as they balance it right. But that was, it was nice to see, though. On Sunday, May 29th, then there was a story and cinematics in Legacy of the Sith with Charles Boyd and Ashley Rule. And then they said that there's a couple of community-created meetups happening as well. Please note these are hosted by players and community members. However, we'll do our best to attend. And then, so that one of those was an Old Republic fan meetup, and one of them at the Anaheim Marriott, and one was cosplayers of the Old Republic photo shoot, which is pretty cool. Yeah. And so the story and cinematics in Legacy of the Sith with Charles Boyd and Ashley Rule, and there was a video put out on it by SWTORista. It's there is a link in the show notes, and she took videos of them and actually split it into two. There was the developer story and cinematics talk, and then a separate one for the Q&A that happened at the same time. She could have almost done it as one video, but it would have been rather long. This way, it doesn't get too bulky. So yeah, I've seen them both. It was great to see them. So Ashley Rule is lead cinematics designer, and then Charles Boyd is the creative director. And of course, Charles has been around for a long time. But it was great to see Ashley Rule, who we don't see as much public facing. I think we've seen her a few times here and there, and she's put an occasional thing out on media and so on. But it was nice to actually see her do a full talk and then Q&A with Charles Boyd. So, and definitely watch the whole video, because I'm just going to hit a couple of highlights of things that I thought were interesting. And have you seen them yet, Kitty?
I did.
Okay, so I'll just talk about what I saw. So they emphasized how they for me, what was interesting is one thing that sort of came up this a couple different times in different ways. So when they do their story writers, when they talk about doing a particular story, then usually the same story writers will get to do the same story all the way through, whatever the natural break is, or for the end of that story. And that way you have sort of continuity of style, you have a continuity of thought, and you also have there's a bit of the writers get to have a bit of sort of ownership of that story. And of course, they're all helping each other. Everything's going to be super, everything's super crossover as well. But in terms of the writer who is quote unquote assigned the story, they sort of get to see it all the way through. And then, which was cool. And then, but then Ashley Rule was saying basically a lot of the same things happen on their end with the cinematics. So when they're doing the cinematics, they tend to have the same, one person or the same little team or whatever do the same thing where they do all the cinematics for that particular storyline, so that again it's like they get to take ownership. You get a sort of stylistic seamlessness where it's not like changing all the time, that sort of thing. And I thought it was an interesting way to do it. It definitely makes sense. But yeah, there's lots of other details in this too. That was just something that struck me. And then they did the Q&A. Lots of interesting questions in the Q&A. Definitely worth also listening to, and definitely more like broad. Like it wasn't just about story and cinematics. Like it went all over. Yeah. So Charles Boyd said how he likes to have in 7.0 he likes to have a smuggler but with a merc combat style, because he likes to match his favorite story with a combat style that he happens to like better than the smuggler ones. Like. He said that was one of the reasons, like, he always wanted to play a smuggler, but he tends to play Jedi Knight because he likes the fighting style so well as the story. But now in the 7.0, he's really enjoying playing the smuggler because he really likes that story, really likes that whole vibe. But he gets to do it now with double blasters instead.
Right.
One of the questions is like what would you add to the game, that sort of question. And I thought Ashley Rule's answer was pretty interesting, and it was kind of in keeping with her cinematics designer sort of mindset, which was cool too. She would love to have a tool that added to the game so that people could make their own character poses and their own little cutscenes. In other words, like make a story creator inside of SWTOR for people to make their own little stories or poses or poses with backgrounds or whatever. That would be really cool. That would be really cool.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Talk about fan fiction coming out of that.
Yeah, exactly. And because the way it is, it's like there's so many cutscenes and you can do a lot with it, and you can also do things pose wise and so on, but it's difficult, and it's not designed. It's not designed to be sort of videoed or screenshotted or whatever. Right, and if it was custom designed to be able to do that, that would be amazing. They also announced that the next Star Wars celebration would be in Europe, which is pretty cool. So
another reason to go.
Yeah, yeah. Believe me, we saved up a long time for that trip. I don't think we'll be jumping off to Europe in less than a year or whatever. Yeah, as awesome as that would be.
Okay, so they're doing it in a year.
I think I can't remember. I know it's in Europe. I don't remember if they said there was. I think they said it was next year, but whatever.
Wow, that's quick.
Yeah. Well, they used to do one like every year. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll have to do a mea culpa. Let's see, a couple of other things that were definitely interesting. Chris Durrell, a gameplay designer on SWTOR team, wrote about some upcoming changes to class balance in 7.1. And so let's see, let me make this a little bit more readable. After listening to lots of feedback and gathering data, are the changes to Fury and Carnage Marauders and Arsenal and Innovative Innovance Mercenaries, Gunnery and Assault Specialist Commandos. It's important to note these changes will be available for testing in an upcoming phase of the PTS as well.
Cool.
And so, yeah, Marauder Sentinel, defensive role passive mod has been redesigned to do the following: increases internal and elemental damage reduction by 3%. In addition, activating Bloodthirst reduces the damage you take from area effects by 30% for 20 seconds.
Oh, holy crap.
Yeah. Now only available for Carnage Combat and Annihilation Watchman disciplines. So it's sort of on, which is sort of rare in the game. Like there are definitely defensive cooldowns, but they're rarely for a particular type of damage. So now it's like if you know that area attack damage is coming, you can you pop your Bloodthirst and 30% damage reduction.
20 seconds too.
20 seconds is a long time. Yeah, it really is. It's obviously these things might get changed as well.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Carnage Combat, increased damage bonus from Execute given to Devastating Blast from 5% to 10%. Dealing damage with a Taru Form Strike reduces the cooldown of Rage Spending offensive abilities by 1 second. A Taro form deals 3% more damage, so that's interesting, because anything that reduces cooldowns is always interesting to me. Redesigned Blood Frenzy passive. When Execute is consumed by Force Scream or a Devastating Blast, you build 1 rage. In addition, you're immune to interrupts and all controlling effects for 6 seconds after activating Ferocity. The immunity effect cannot occur more than once every 30 seconds, however.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's another interesting. Yeah. Immunity to controlling effects is sort of a rare thing in the game, too. Usually when you get it, it's like you have to... And it is in 7.0. There's some choices you can make to get it. It's usually, though, it's tied to a much longer cooldown. It's usually tied to like one of the 2.5-3 minute cooldown ones. Right. So that's interesting as well. Fury Concentration reduces critical strike and critical damage bonus received from Dark Synergy Zenith passive mod from 20% to 15%. So that one apparently was a little overtuned. Gravity Vortex passive and redesigned and is now a level 51 mod choice for Fury and Concentration, replacing defensive role. And it reads Force Crush / Force Exhaustion triggers Gravity Vortex, granting immunity to interrupts and all controlling effects and reducing damage taken from area effects by 15% for 6 seconds. The effect cannot occur more than once every 30 seconds. Force Crush, yeah, they had to add the 30-second thing because I think Force Crush is like / Force Exhaustion is like an 18-second cooldown. So yeah, but even every 30 seconds, that's a lot of immunity. I imagine
usually my opener.
Yeah, I imagine in like PvP that's going to be like really, really good because like let's say if you're helping to move the ball in Hutball. And all of a sudden you can't be controlled for 6 seconds because you've used a, pretty normal ability. Yeah, that's going to be really nice. Let's see. Change the level 60 passive to Gravity Defiance / Gravity Manipulation, which reduces the rage or focus cost of Obliterate, Citadel Sleep, and Force Crush and Force Exhaustion by 1.
Huh.
So, yeah. Let's see. And then Arsenal Gunnery, a lot of upgrades to the damage. And I have been hearing occasionally that like some of the Mercenary and Commando specs have been feeling kind of underwhelming in terms of damage.
Yeah.
So yeah,
at 30% lower than the top DPS.
Right. Increase the critical damage bonus given by target tracking / deadly cannon passive from 15% up to 30%.
Oh,
yeah.
baby.
So that's only when you crit, but still, that's quite a bit of extra damage when you crit. Increase the critical hit damage bonus from Riddle / Rotary Cannon from 5% up to 10%. Blazing Bolts and Bolt Storm heat cost has been reduced from 20 down to 16.
Nice.
Yeah, that one, and I find even at 20, a lot of times the Bolt Storm, because you're channeling it for 3 seconds minus your alacrity, it tends to be kind of heat neutral anyway. Now it should actually be kind of heat positive almost.
Right.
Because just the way that timing works out. Priming Shot / Vortex Bolt, a heat cost has been reduced from 12 down to 10. So another sort of heat. Yeah. So apparently they really focused on the heat thing there quite a bit. Innovative Ordnance and Assault Specialist increase periodic damage of Serrated Shot and Serrated Bolt by 16%, which are the same ability, different sides. Change the functionality of Incendiary Ignition mod, giving it more ticks of combustible gas cylinder, to increasing its damage on targets affected by incendiary missile or incendiary round. So it's yeah. And then Sniper Gunslinger redesigned Augmented Shield / Hotwire defensive passive mod to additionally give when taking damage while entrenched is active. The cooldown on Meticulous Preparation or Bag of Tricks is reduced by 2 seconds. Effect can only occur once every 3 seconds.
Wow.
And I'm not good with Bag of Tricks. Like I wish I was better because it resets so many things.
It does.
It's so nice, and you can actually improve it in a couple different ways from other utilities. So yeah, if you're good with your Sniper Gunslinger abilities and your Bag of Tricks, that could be really nice.
Especially PvP, it's really, really, really nice.
Yeah. Virulence / Dirty Fighting. Viral targeting and blood sights no longer increases poison effect, bleed damage effect by 10%. Decay / Nice Try damage bonus decrease from 5% to 3%. Critical grenade / sharp objects applied critical hit damage bonus from periodic effects is reduced to 5%, down from 10%, and its effects have been fixed to correctly apply the critical hit damage bonus. Okay, so a lot of damage reduction for virulence/dirty fighting, which is a shame. I actually like those specs. I haven't been. I think even before I was on vacation, I don't know if I've been playing it enough to be sure of like how strong it felt. But it's still whatever.
Yeah, okay. I haven't played it in a long time.
Good to know. Let's see.
Saboteur.
Yeah, the engineering saboteur. Redesign custom autoloaders / jury-rigged mods to additionally give, so this is in addition to what it normally does, snipe / charge burst deals additional elemental damage to targets affected by interrogation probe / shock charge. And also increased electrified railgun and blazing speed damage by 25%. Wow.
Holy.
It's pretty nice. Oh. Okay. And the other part that I thought was really interesting is, in addition to class balance for 7.1, some disciplines are also receiving new tacticals. With 7.0, we removed a handful of tacticals from specific disciplines and in many cases rolled their functionality into the discipline's utility tree. This created a bit of an imbalance, though, between combat styles' access to critical items, as some disciplines simply had more tacticals to choose from than others. In 7.1, we are filling those gaps by introducing a few new tacticals into the game for certain disciplines. I wonder if they're all going to be available on the vendor, or if any of them are going to be, recipes or anything like that.
I'm assuming vendor.
I'm kind of assuming vendor too, but I don't think it actually says. Carnage Marauders are receiving a new tactical to replace Fang God form. Shard of Mortis, using Massacre or Blade Rush, adds hyper stacks to you, increasing your crit chance by 25% per stack and increasing the cost of your next Massacre / Blade Rush by 1 rage focus per stack up to 3. When you deal damage with another ability, then hyper is removed. That's still pretty good, though. Like, it means you're going to crit more often by a fair bit. Because I think Massacre, Blade Rush, I think that's a reasonably, it's not a huge long cooldown. It's gonna get you some more crits for sure. Like several more, I would say a couple more crits per minute, something like that. Maybe more, depending. This is very random RNG, but
right.
But yeah, you should be. I'm pretty sure Massacre or Blade Rush are pretty much use on cooldown anyway. So, every time you do, the next thing you're going to use is going to have a 25% extra crit chance, and you should be running with what, probably close to 50% crit anyway, something like that. I mean, I don't know because I don't know off the top of my head, but in past that's been pretty typical for endgame anyway. So I mean, it means you're going to just practically guaranteeing your next crit. Actually, if I saw this, what I would do is just every time I use Massacre, I would just change my rotation so that my next ability is one of my biggest, because it's probably going to crit. Because it's at that point you're well over 50% crit chance, and so you might as well be a nice big hit that does tons of damage. Arsenal Mercenaries will receive a new tactical to replace thermonuclear fusion called Unstable Fusion. Activating supercharged gas or cell accelerates heat out from you, dealing elemental damage to up to 8 enemies within 8 meters and applying heat signature to them. Targets with heat signature are vulnerable to rail shot or high impact bolt and take additional damage from heat seeker missiles or demolition round. Wow, so pretty cool.
That'll be really cool if you have other mercs in your group too.
That's true. Because of the heat signature.
With that heat sig.
Yeah, they all use rail shot. Yeah. They all use rail shot. So yeah. And it doesn't look like I think the heat signature is just that usual is the usual debuff that goes when you usually use your your gravity round or whatever.
I think so.
Isn't that called heat signature? So it's basically just doing that, but into a whole group technically.
Right.
Which is nice because if it is that debuff, it's a pretty long lasting one, which means even if you take down one of the enemies, the other one will already have the heat signature, so you can start doing your improved damage to them right away.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know how much damage it set for the 8 enemies within 8 meters is. Doesn't say how much extra damage that is, for the AoE. And it sounds like it's a player-based AoE. It's just going to do it around you to enemies, 8 enemies within 8 meters. It doesn't seem to be targeted at all. So, but yeah, supercharged gas, you just have to build the 10 stacks. Usually that's happens reasonably often, at least a couple times a minute, maybe a little bit faster than that.
Well,
so,
it sounded like they were decreasing the cost of your, I forget what's the setup shot that you use.
The gravity round.
I think so. Anyway, they reduced the cost, so when you're stacking up those numbers, they'll cost less.
Oh, okay.
So that sounds interesting.
Yeah, and
really
this is
cool.
definitely I really like the Carnage and Marauder one is nice, but it feels like, okay, this is just kind of give you a real high crit chance for the next ability. That's what it really feels like. So it's not going to change that much. The cool thing about the Arsenal Mercenary ones, it actually does feel like it's potentially going to change how you do things, because if you use supercharged gas, then that even if you haven't done anything else to them, you can immediately use your the rail shot or use the heat seeker missiles to do the extra damage.
Right.
Anything that sort of really changes up, I think that's a good an extra good way to do a tactical. It's just anything that sort of changes how the rotation is played or whatever.
Exactly. Anything that's going to possibly affect your rotation I think is kind of fun.
Right. Innovative Ordnance Mercenaries will get a new tactical to replace magnetized shrapnel called Magnetic Resonance. Exploding thermal detonator / assault plastique early with using your mag shot or mag bolt causes your next power shot / charge bolts to deal additional elemental damage. That one's that's not really the kind that I think is going to change much to the rotation, but it's it's extra damage. I'm sure it'll be nice. Because power shot is pretty much one of your normal abilities anyway. So anyway, Bodyguard Mercenaries will receive a new tactical based on their old rocket fuel vapors item, Colto Vapors. The Colto pods left by Colto missile / Colto bomb last a second longer and heal for an additional 5%.
Ooh, there you go.
It doesn't sound that exciting to me, but I don't know enough about the that particular spec to say how powerful that will be. But at least they'll have one.
I'm good.
Right. At least they'll have another option. So
exactly.
Hopefully the min-maxers will look into these and find out, whether they're going to be the ones to use or the ones to use in some cases or not. And
enter number crunchers.
Right. He also says, another important note, our intention is not to introduce new tactical items at a steady cadence into the future. Instead, we're looking to balance access to tactical items. So in other words, it's what he was talking about earlier, where 7.0, some of the tacticals got rolled into the actual combat style, so the tactical went away completely. And this is just to sort of replace that so that everyone has access to, a reasonable amount of tacticals.
Good.
You can expect a few more discipline-specific tacticals in the next patch to further balance what's available for each discipline, but moving forward from that, there are no immediate plans of introducing more. And there you go. Let's see. And then they did delay the maintenance. We just don't know how long. Let's see. What else was there?
I wonder if they said anything. Let me check.
Yeah, if you want to recheck it, that'd be completely fine.
Don't see anything in Dev Tracker.
All right, that's fine. Well, we kind of touched a little bit on it, but how are you liking Kenobi so far?
I have been enjoying it tremendously. Kenobi's my favorite, and it's Kitty Treats' favorite too. So
nice.
We've been waking up on Wednesdays and watching it. It's great. What about you?
That's excellent. In fact, it was funny. The first 2 episodes came out, and because we were in Europe, I got to see it when it was 4 a.m. our time. I never would have seen it this early, so I had no chance of being spoiled. So I got to see those 2 episodes that way, which was kind of fun. The first couple episodes are doing all the setup, which is kind of what you expect, and then holy cow, episode 3 comes right out of the gate. Yeah, it's on like Donkey Kong for sure. And that, I have no idea what's going to happen for the rest of the episodes. And, so there's 5 more episodes or something like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, really enjoying it. The the writing's been good. The direction's been solid. I like the actors fine. I actually do like the young Leia.
I do too. I really like it.
The only thing I find a little bit weird is that I think she seems a little too young. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she doesn't look 9. She looks more like 7 or 6, maybe.
Oh.
Like, she's kind of young looking. And now, of course, Carrie Fisher was relatively short, so it's like, I forgive it. It's not like a total deal breaker for me or anything like that. But she just seems young. A very precocious youngster.
Oh, yeah, very precocious.
Yeah. And that's actually one of that's what and I think they wrote that perfectly because, like, Leia had one of those upbringings. She was a royal. She was being brought up to be a politician, to be a leader, like, and it makes sense. Like, she would have been well educated. She would have, she would have had one of those situations where she would have been allowed to express herself and to, think about things and so on. And I like how she's like making correct inferences from like what Kenobi is saying and not saying, for instance. I like that a lot. And it's hard, for a young actor like that to hold their own, but I think she's doing a good job. And yeah, the Inquisitors are nice and evil. Yeah. Well, I don't want to say any more than that. We've already said more than enough. I don't want to spoil anyone's fun. Cinematography's been very nice.
Is great.
Yeah. They've been having a lot of fun putting tons and tons of different alien species, some in the foreground, but even a lot of them in the background. It's been a lot of fun.
That's one of the things that Lucas would always do is he'd put new things in all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't as repetitive as some of the other stuff has been. And in fact, that was one of his critiques about some of the new movies is like, where's the new stuff?
Right. And I also appreciate how we're now seeing like a little bit more of, because we've seen the rebellion and so on, but we're seeing more of like what it would be like to live under the Empire and like why, like why it's really nasty. And how it brings in even people who may not be completely evil, but they sort of like get dragged along into following it just because it's easy or because they believe in some of the traits that the Empire pretends to espouse.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So lots of really cool stuff going on there, and yeah, can't wait to see more.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Yeah, that's right. It's where I am in the day of the week and stuff like that. It's like it's amazing that I knew it was Tuesday and it was actually time to do the show.
I know. I sent you a text. I'm like, hey,
we're doing this, right?
I half expected you to be like, no, we're still in Ireland. Like, all right,
we're
buddy,
staying forever. Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. It's already nice to be back. The kiddies clearly missed me.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, I mean, we did have people watching them, but they weren't in all that often, and they're very scared. They're not the kind of cats who, like, when someone comes in, they're gonna be sociable and kind of get that sociable itch taken care of. They're the kinds that when someone comes, if they don't know who it is, you'll never see them. They will run, they will hide, and you will not see them no matter, even if you stayed for like hours. You will not see them. So it's clearly nice for them to be around someone who they know. So
good. They need their daddy.
How's Nexu? Is he the opposite?
Nixu's the opposite. He's like, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Funny like
Let me show you around.
Yeah. Here's where all the jewelry
Here's all the valuables. Yeah.
There you go. There's a couple bucks right here.
Yep. Speaking of the valuables, how's the new computer setup coming?
It's coming along very well. I've decided again that I am going to be switching from Streamlabs to OBS Studios again. So
Okay.
I've been completely from scratch rebuilding OBS Studios, and I'm going to be making that jump, and it's I can't wait. It's already running so much smoother, and
Nice.
I have all of my audio channels separated. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
I
I'm.
wish I could swaddle it and hug it.
I've always been very happy with OBS, despite the fact that we had a little technical glitch at the top of the show. But that one was pretty minor, and frankly, eventually I should just be used to it. But and it's pretty easy to take care of too. But yeah, and for the most part, like OBS runs like a dream. You can very easily. I have no problem at all. Like if I need to bring up something new, I can just click something and boom. Now I'm showing it. Now I'm showing it to the audience. All that sort of thing. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So, all right. Anything else, Kitty?
I think we're good to go.
Alrighty then. That's a show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Satil Shan server, or in our
Utini Rage
Guild on the Empire side, do a /C join Utini to join the Utini channel, then let us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to utinicast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @utinicast. You can find contact details for us on our website, utinicast.com, which includes how to subscribe using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. We record the show live bi-weekly on Tuesdays, 4 p.m. Pacific, streaming at twitch.tv/utinicast. Our theme song is Doomsday by Jean-Paul Zogby. And thank you to the chat room.
Hey, chat room.
And we'll see you next show.
Toodles.
All right, let me do a little raid Reno here, and then we'll have to shut down the stream after that, though. Let's see, where is it? Oh, they moved stuff on me, didn't they? Okay.
Zam's on again.
Hang on, I gotta figure out where my stuff is here. No, it's not there. Gosh darn it. I hate when this happens. Okay, let's try. There we go. Go to the dashboard. Now we're good. Okay, go to the manage the stream. And there it is. Okay. Marcus is playing Destiny, so I think we'll do Zamzam. Let's do Zamzam.
Yeah, Zam.
All right. Thank you for coming, everyone. And yeah, well, I'll start streaming again tomorrow. Kitty, of course, streams all the time as well. We'll put out the podcast version of the show tomorrow. And there we go. Here we go. The old countdown. And let's see. I love how there's always a 10-second cooldown, or, ready to raid thing. Yeah.
I know, and I always forget to hit it. Like, I'm like, all right, goodbye, everybody. Awkward 10 seconds.
You walk away. Blank screen. Yeah. Here we go. All right. So that's gone. I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream, stop the recording.